tight end, the way I see people playing it this year is that Bowers and McBride go 2 in the early third. Then there's like, wait, you can't still be all in on Shedeur Sanders.
Wait, he got in trouble since we last talked?
Yes. He got one of those things where he was like speeding, and then like, here, I'll pull it up, but it was like Tuesday he got a citation for 101 miles an hour after Sanders failed to appear in court for another speeding ticket issued less than 2 weeks ago.
Speeding tickets, come on. Okay. Not this monkey stuff. Come on. When I listen, I don't recommend this, and I really don't recommend this. But when I was 18 and I got a car, I did not have a drive on the highway where I did not exceed 100 miles per hour. Like, even if I was going like, a couple of exits to Smith College when I was at Amherst College, I would always get to 100 minimum, because I'm like, I got a car, it goes to 100, right? And I don't recommend that. And, thankfully, I'm still here. But a guy who's like in his early 20s going 101, oh my God, he's got a way nicer car than I did too. I'm sure it handles much better at that speed.
Yeah, well, remember, he is part of the NIL stuff, not the NLM. The NIL, like he probably made himself, $7 million in college.
Right. So he's sure he's driving a nice car. You got to open it up to 100 minimum. I don't really see a problem with that. You remember Randy Moss? He smoked weed in college, and they were like, we got to. Who's the guy they drafted ahead of him? Who's the receiver they drafted ahead of Randy Moss?
Oh, ahead of Randy Moss.
Kevin something. I can't remember his name. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they drafted just some NLM receiver at 7, and Moss goes like in the teens somewhere. Yeah. Because he like smoked a J in college, or he got in trouble at Marshall or wherever he, before he went to Marshall. That's what I look at this as.
All right. Travis Hunter, I think this is a good point to start like our fantasy football discussion. The rookie for the Jacksonville Jaguars goes in the 4th round of early drafts lists. Now, there was a kind of
he's going the 4th round of a non-dynasty, just like a regular redraft.
Yeah, too early.
That's insane.
Yeah, 4 or 5 turns.
Why?
I mean,
on what basis?
Well, that's where Jamar Chase was drafted his rookie season, right? He was in the 4th round.
Chase was like. Jamar Chase was as if Travis Hunter was only a receiver and better at receiver, but
we didn't know that rookie year.
And Jamar Chase was like an elite receiving prospect.
So is
he's an elite cornerback prospect who's also a good receiver. He's not just like he didn't get drafted 3rd overall because of his
second overall
because of his receiving, right? Like, if he's just a receiver, where does he go? Let's say he contracts a disease that makes him unable to play cornerback in the NFL.
Or he's ineligible to play cornerback. He has to choose.
Yeah, right. I like the disease one better, but whatever. So I don't know what kind of disease that it would be. But, his hands just get really good. So he can't play cornerback. He's got to play receiver. Where does he go in the NFL draft?
I mean, 1 or 2. I mean,
you think if he's just a receiver, he still goes
receiver 1 or 2?
No. I'm saying... Where in the NFL draft I don't think he goes I don't know. Would he be a top 10 pick in the NFL if he's just receiver?
All of the McShay types, again, I don't watch the college tape and grind it like those guys, but they all said that he was more developed as a receiver than he was actually as a defensive back. But I was going to say, the troll post from yesterday says Travis Hunter, DB, signs his 4-year contract.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I don't really follow college football, but it just seems like the reason he went 2nd was because he's also like, they think he's Darrelle Revis, and then if he can play some receiver, what a bonus, or Deion Sanders, who did play a little receiver and return some kicks. But you also have Brian Thomas there. That's the other thing. It's like, so not only is this guy, he's not Jamar Chase as a receiver only, I don't think, but you've got like a legit like alpha number 1 who's going to get 150 targets across from you. So to me, that's just, I wouldn't take him before the 7th. I mean, I don't.
You're not going to get him then. You're not going to get him.
I don't need to get him.
Yeah. So 4th round. So you think that's too rich? Now, again, like I said, Malik Neighbors was a 3rd round pick.
2nd to 3rd. Yeah. But Malik Neighbors didn't have anybody blocking him. Nobody good. And was drafted 6th overall. Where did he go last year?
Maybe yes. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Solely because of his, not because he had some other skill.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter though higher draft capital than all them. You already outlined why, right. And also with Jamar Chase, wasn't T. Higgins already there and established as an alpha? Like the way you're thinking of Brian Thomas?
I don't think
now?
so. I think Higgins, did he come the year after, the year before?
I don't
Tyler
know.
Boyd was there as like
No,
a possession guy. Well, no, he was caught 80 plus balls, but I mean, Brian Thomas is like, top 5 or 6 receiver in the NFL basically now. So, when did Higgins come in? I thought maybe he came in
2020.
And when did Chase come in?
21.
Okay. But Higgins wasn't like, he wasn't
Yeah,
Brian Thomas. He wasn't Brian Thomas's rookie year.
I mean, but it wasn't that dissimilar is what I'm saying. Like, they were like, oh my God, this guy, he got drafted later than he was. He's a clear alpha. And now they're just
Higgins. What were Higgins' numbers his rookie year? Compare him to Brian Thomas's. I bet you they're not even close.
Right. I mean, okay, let's say T. Higgins stats. Okay, so it's 2021, it's 2020 year, 67 catches, 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
I mean, that's pretty good for a rookie.
Right.
But Brian Thomas blew those away.
Let's say. So Brian Thomas stats. If you look at Brian Thomas's rookie year list, his 87, 1280, and 10.
Like 10 and he didn't get started quickly. Remember, he took a few games to get going, I think. Yeah. I think this was all like backloaded. Like, people are drafting this guy in the first round. They weren't drafting T. Higgins in the first round.
Well, I guess the argument for Travis Hunter is there's a lot of similarities between last year's Tampa Bay offense that was, offensive coordinated by Liam Cohen. Now he's the head coach in Jacksonville. You have a distressed number 1 underperforming overall quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, same as you did with Baker Mayfield. And then you have the 2 really good receivers with Godwin, Evans, and now you have potentially Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas. Of course, the 4th round running back with Bucky Irving. Now you have a 4th round running back in Bashal Tutin. And then, of course, the incumbent running back, which was Rashad White. Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of similarities.
But here's the thing before we do the numerology or whatever this is.
Yeah, it's just
Godwin was going in the 4th round last year, right? And Godwin was, I remember, like, Liam Cohen had already rehabbed Baker the year before, right? So Baker coming into last year was already, he wasn't on life support. 2 years ago, he was on life support. But last
Explain
year,
that, though. Explain why he was 2 years, he already supported the year before.
Because he was already in Tampa and had a decent year, or, second half. Or
well, he was in the Rams, and Liam Cohen
was in the Rams first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Liam Cohen was the quarterback coach.
Right. So when they brought in Mayfield to Tampa, it wasn't like, but by the way, Trevor Lawrence is probably where Mayfield was at the start of last year. It wasn't, people aren't like, Trevor Lawrence can't possibly be good. So that's fair. But Godwin was going in the 4th round as like a legit, proven Pro Bowl level guy. Now he'd come off some injuries a couple years before. I don't know. I guess I could see the parallel. It just seems,
usually you're willing to take shots like that. That's why I'm surprised.
I don't know. It just seems a bit rich. I mean, it just seems like I can't see them both going crazy. And Brian Thomas, to me, is going to get 150 balls. So I would think Hunter's ceiling is like 125, 130.
It's not bad.
That's for no, if he gets that, he's worth a 4th round pick, but that's his ceiling, right? I mean, what if he's just like, they're like, oh, dude, we need to give him all the reps we can at corner. We're actually contending. We're having a good year because we rehabbed Trevor Lawrence and he's good. And we need this guy to play DB, and we'll put him in for 25 snaps a game on offense. Right.
Yeah. But who else are they going to throw to? I mean, I don't know if you've taken a look at the Jaguar depth chart.
Right now, Ingram is gone, right? He's left.
Ingram's gone. So basically, Hunter right now on the official depth chart, which means nothing,
right,
is wide receiver 2 because they have Parker Washington, who was like a day 3 pick, and Diami Brown, who they did pay, but that's definitely a number 3 receiver. And then Brenton Strange is the tight end who flashed a little. So they need Hunter to be.
Are you going to get some Strange this year?
Oh yeah, always. By the way,
here's the thing. It's always dangerous to say there's no one else there. I remember one year it was Torrey Smith. He was like the only guy that anyone had ever heard of on the Niners. Like, he was their number 1 receiver by a mile. And in the 6th round, you were like, dude, he's going to get like 140 targets because it's like there's no one there. And of course, nobody caught more than like 40 or 50 balls on the team that year. And you were just like, oh, right, because there's, first off, there's people that emerge, right? The scrubs you haven't heard of when they get reps in practice and during the game. One of them may be useful as a possession guy. And here's the question for you. Let's say Hunter is needed as a DB and he's good. like right away. And DBs probably have less ramp up time to be good than wide receivers. Like if you're a rookie DB and you're elite, you're probably as good as you're going to be. Maybe you'll get a little better, but
Revis, Sauce,
right, all these guys, like Ray, they come in and they're just like shut down. Don't mess. A new guy comes in, they're like, don't throw at this guy. So he's playing at his peak already, right? And receiver takes a couple years to learn. How many snaps, if he's playing full-time DB, can he get on offense?
So this is a question that's being debated, and I would default to, like you said, hey, like 20 snaps, but they're proactively saying to everyone, like, this guy is capable of playing the entire game, 80 snaps. Now they're saying it, but does it actually happen is the question. And you know what the most likely scenario is, Liss, is that certain weeks he plays like 75% DB and other weeks he plays 75% receiver.
Oh, I hope you get advance notice of that before you start him.
You will not. You will not.
I mean, right. If they got a lead, there's no reason to keep him in there on offense. We're behind. It's more important to keep him in there on offense. We can put anyone on defense. They're going to be running the ball because they got a lead. It's this Otani hitter pitcher thing. We're going to use him as a pitcher. Everyone uses him a hitter, obviously now. But
it's weird. It's tough.
Fourth round seems like a lot. I
agree with you, by the way. Yeah. I have not taken him the fourth. Now, late fifth, 5, 6 turn, a couple, I do a lot of drafts, so I want a piece of them, especially in best ball where it's like $5, $20 entries. I have done it. And especially since Brian Thomas, you can get him anytime you want in the first round. And then if you get the Hunter stack, if you're into that, and then Lawrence is basically a free pick. Like you can, pick which round you want him in. So it's a stackable thing for like more of the, big tournament stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so easy to see Lawrence throwing 35 touchdowns and rushing for 3 or 4 and 400 rushing. I mean, you could totally see a huge year from Lawrence. It's not hard to see that. It's just like, it's easy to get him. You just use your first round pick on one. And you're like, first round.
You agree that Brian Thomas?
Yeah, he's a first round pick. Yeah.
Right. So it's not like
early second at the least.
Right. But if you're picking at pick 10 and you're going to take him at 15, you might as well just take him at 10.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you have, even like NFFs.
What are you doing on the running backs? Because like the top 5 running backs are all kind of equal, right? Like
that was my next question for you. Okay. Like literally, Saquon is RB1 in all drafts. I don't have it that way just because the 480 touches scares the crap out of me for my number 1 pick. So I have, if you're asking me, I have Bijan. But what would you do? Are you taking? Let's start with this. If you have the 101 in the NFFC, are you taking Chase?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Bijan.
You're going to go Saquon.
Maybe Bijan. Bijan. I mean, look, running backs, it's like why you ever see that? Was it in Goodfellas or Casino where I think it was Casino maybe where
tell me the thing. I know those movies.
We're basically like they're like deciding whether they're going to kill off Joe Pesci, right? And I think it's Joe Pesci. And they're like, the guy's like, no, he won't talk. He's a Marine. Marine.
Yeah, it's right? Casino.
Okay, Casino. They're like, he's a Marine. He's good. He's like, nah, solid.
Why take the chance?
One guy goes, why take a chance? And then next thing you know, they're killing him, right? So that's.
And by the way, they weren't talking about Pesci. They were talking about the character of Andy it was a different character. The guy who they weren't talking about Pesci because Pesci.
No, because they kill Pesci and his brother at the end.
Right, but not that conversation.
That wasn't that. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just like everyone's like, oh, he's rock solid. He's a Marine. And then they're like, why take a chance? That's kind of how I feel. Like Saquon's like that dude, right? Like he's amazing. He's great. He's on a great team.
Alan King was the actual actor. He was a comedian.
That was great.
That was the character. From Casino, yeah.
That was just such a hilarious. It's like one old dude on a ventilator is like, and then of course they have to kill those people who were in their like 30s or 40s. But that's how I feel. It's like Saquon is like that dude. He's a Marine. He's amazing. Whatever. I love Saquon. Great situation. But why take a chance on a 29-year-old, 28-year-old with all that mileage when Bijan is in his absolute prime? With a better they'll get better quarterback play probably this year than last year. That's a low bar, but they should. And why bother? Or Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, there's really like no reason that you couldn't take Jahmyr Gibbs. And then Chase is the other option. And there's really no reason not to take him, but he get paid. He's coming off the huge year. Burrow stayed healthy last year. I don't know. It just seems like it's a little more. I mean, obviously anyone can get hurt. Bijan can get hurt. So, I don't want to commit to that, but I think I'd probably lean against Saquon, but maybe not. But it's just you've got this one factor that doesn't. That with Gibbs and Bijan, you don't have that problem.
Andy Stone is the name of Alan King's character that they're talking about. He's a Marine company, but I love that call, right? Like, why take the chance, right? The reason
what that means, what that actually means when he says it is crazy, right?
Yeah. The reason I say if you draw number one in the NFFC to take Chase is because I've done a crap ton of these drafts already. Even if you want Bijan, even if you want Gibbs or whoever it is, Saquon, there's great running backs on the 2-3 turn. You could have your pick if you don't like Breece Hall, that's fine. But like Breece, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, so you could start with Chase and then come back with Kyron and Chase Brown or Josh Jacobs and whatever combination. Get two of them,
right?
But if you do it the other way around, you're like reaching for T. Higgins, you're reaching for Garrett Wilson in the second round. So if you do get an early pick, my advice to you would be take Chase or Chase or Jefferson.
I'm okay with Garrett Wilson in the second round, though, actually. But I hear you. I understand the build. I did this in the prime time. Last year was the first year I didn't cash in 4 years. And I remember like consciously being like, I'm passing on Nick Chubb in round 3 or 4. And he had a huge year that year. And I took like Christian Kirk, right? But Christian Kirk was good. And it was just the right call, even though Chubb fell and he had a great year. It was like, I need the receivers where the scarcity is, and it was the right call. And so, maybe I'll end up doing that.
Yeah, again, who knows? Because you land on the right players, it's great. But from my observation, pick 5, 6, and 7 seem to be good spots this year because you get either CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, or you can have your pick of Gibbs or any of those. And in the second round, which is the most important of this, the drop off, like I consider AJ Brown is like a good second round pick. But once you get past, like if you're in like the top 4, which are the elite players, you have to take Brock Bowers. You have to take like he's the best player on the board type of stuff, or else you're getting like Rashee Rice is going at the 2-3 turn now. That just seems like bananas to me. And I don't want to have to make that decision. I want a good second round pick too.
Bowers, I think I could live with. I also I like AJ Brown there. Where does Devin Achane go?
Early second, in the first 4 picks of the second round.
So you can't get him on that. Okay, I was wondering.
Maybe the 5th or 6th pick. That's why I said pick 5. You get CeeDee Lamb or Jefferson, and then you get
Jefferson. I mean, that's like there's nothing wrong with Jefferson.
He's falling this year.
Is it because the new QB? What's the?
Yeah, there's some stats floating around that I saw that were pretty cool. That were like a great elite established alpha wide receiver doesn't really fare well when paired with a first time starting QB. But that could also I know.
Historical stuff. There's 2 things that people do in fantasy. They do the historical thing, like 9 times out of 10, the elite alpha, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, how old was he? Who was the starting QB? Was it an indoor stadium where they tend to score a lot of points? The whole thing, right? Who's the brain trust of the offense? And the second thing they do is what you did earlier. Oh, Liam Cohen's coming in, so they're going to replicate what he did somewhere else, right? There's always those, like in fantasy football. I'm not saying it's always wrong because sometimes it does work out, but they always try to transpose, like the off of the brain trust, and they move them over here, and they're like, oh, they got these guys who developed those guys, so they're going to do it to this other guy.
There's just so many similarities with Tampa and Jacksonville that it just, like I said, I'm just pointing it out. I'm not
Florida. It's in Florida.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but Jacksonville, as living here, man, I could tell you it's very different. That's my wife and I always say. There's always like a little something off with Jacksonville. Like the restaurants like slightly off. Like the people. I don't know. Maybe it's me because I'm a New Yorker. So tight end that left. I asked you about Brock Bowers. You said you wouldn't mind him. Right, Kittle maybe goes in the 4th or 5th, and then the Sam Laporta stuff goes in like the 7th, and it just goes deeper.
What about Jonnu? Where's Jonnu?
Well, because there's issues with him possibly being traded, he is dropped. I mean, he's like tight end 7 or 8, but that's like round 9.
Dude, that is just such free. I mean, look, if he gets traded, okay, you wasted your 9th round pick.
Well, he might be traded to Pittsburgh, say, and that's Arthur Smith, who used him in Atlanta. I mean, there's upside.
I mean, Jonnu Smith in the second half, I think he was tight end 1 or 2. I mean, maybe Bowers was ahead of him, but that's it. And I had him in every league, so I was like, this guy was just save my teams. And like to get him in round 9. I mean, Miami, it's like Tyreek Hill is who knows like his health and productivity, and you got Waddle. And that's it, right? Like that's it. And then so you Jonnu was literally the number 3, sometimes with Hill, MIA, like he was the number 2 guy even. And there was one game where they didn't throw to Jonnu all game. I don't know why. And I had him in every league, so I was acutely aware. And they went into like overtime, and they gave him like 6 catches, and he scored the game-winning touchdown. And I was like, dude, where was that all game?
Yeah, no, the reason, so I started off draft season, and I start very early doing these best balls, and I was all in. I was like, Jonnu, every draft, him or Evan Ingram, who's in a good spot with the Broncos. But then what happens is, I start like overthinking it. And you always said this is like the worst thing to do is like, go back to your original thought process because you just start getting tangled. And like Miami stunk last year. So they went all in on Jonnu, peppered him with targets, but it just didn't work. And you got to think that Mike McDaniel might be a little hot CD this year. Like if he doesn't make the playoffs, like he could be out. So you can't do the same thing.
Well, it did not work because they passed to Jonnu. It just didn't work because Tyreek wasn't Tyreek. I mean, that was, and Tua missed a couple games, and and Waddle missed a couple games, right? It was like the whole thing imploded. But it wasn't like because of Jonnu. I think they probably were like, that worked. That's one element we're gonna keep going, and hopefully Tyreek is healthy and he's more like the peak version, and then Waddle's healthy and Tua's healthy, and they can be like an elite offense again, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they need to get Tyreek and Waddle more involved, right? Like that's, so who knows there. So how are you going to play? Okay. So Jonnu is a great mid-round target round. Let's say round 7 through 9, depending on where his ADP goes.
They're just not pricing in what he did. I love players. This happens in baseball too. Baseball, I lost Chris Sale. He broke his rib diving for a ball. So retarded. And basically like 3 out of my 4 leagues, it's like, oh, why did I did all this research? Football is great because you do have obviously tons of season-ending crushing injuries, but you don't do any work for football, so it's no problem, right? It's like baseball, you kill yourself to get up to speed on 10,000 players, and then, oh, Chris Sale, he's just going to dive and break his rib. Okay, that season's over. Forget it. It's like a total waste of time. Now you're at least like, now I'm ready for football now. But I'll just say 2 things. One is, whenever there's a player, baseball or football, that did something really, really good, especially in the second half when they started to find that he was good and gave him the opportunities, and it's just completely like, oh, that'll never happen again. Like it's priced as though he won't happen again. And secondly, like tight ends, they peak a lot later than other players. It's common for a tight end at 28 or 29 to start hitting his peak. People just are like, oh, it's Jonnu Smith. He's not like a superstar. Forget it. That is the guy to buy. Like the guy that's not he should be with Kittle. He should be like drafted where Kittle is. And if he's 3 rounds behind Kittle, that's an easy buy. The other thing you were saying is about the original thoughts. Just look, you think what you think, right? And if what you think turns out to be wrong, you got to take the L, like those people that said Barkley was a bad pick at 2 for the Giants, right? Just take the fucking L. Like the guy who's won, he won a Super Bowl. He's one of the key guys.
You're talking about in the real NFL when Sam Darnold versus Barkley was a debate.
Yeah. And or just in general, like just, when you get something wrong and facts prove you wrong, like this is a bad pick taking part. And then obviously he's a generational running back as advertised. And, then you say, okay, I was wrong. You can't go back and process or whatever. So take an L when facts prove you wrong. But until facts prove you wrong, just believe what you believe and go all in on it and just believe it with conviction. And then, oh shit, I was totally wrong about that. That's fine. But I really feel like more and more like whatever my take is, that's my take. And I don't need to hear the opposing argument. I don't care. You can tell me it, but I'm not going to consider it like, oh, well, so-and-so's a really sharp player and he likes this guy in round 3. He thinks your guy's a reach. It's like, who cares? If he's a reach and I'm wrong, I'll find out. But you're just don't start that was the problem with the XM show. I had to entertain everybody's argument about every player at every round. And by the end, I was like, my brain was mush. I was like, who do I even like anymore? Everybody, oh, but he's got this and this new coordinator, but this, yeah. Oh, but they're going to use him in this, the X or the Y or the this. And, and so-and-so loves the slot and he's going to move to, it's like, oh, I've got arguments for everybody. Just forget it. Just pick your guys, go in with conviction. And then if you're wrong, be like, okay, that was totally wrong. And then next year, try to incorporate the new information in your leans, the following year.
Yeah, well said there. And like I said, I'm a victim of that. And when we did the RotoWire drafts, I took Breece Hall I had picked 2, and I took Breece Hall on the comeback 23, and everyone was yelling reach, and I was like, reach. This guy was going top 5 last year, and nothing's changed except it's an upgrade at running quarterback, which usually is good. Like Alfred Morris was good with RG3. So I don't know. Like, and then I looked at the ADP. I was like, oh, he's going 30. I was like, I'm not getting him on the way back. I want him because I think he's going to have a great year.
Alfred Morris, if he can catch 50 or 60 passes, that's
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just meant like just from like running. Yeah, just that alone. I mean, Breece Hall's upside to be RB1 or 2, whatever it is the pass catching, right? We'll get into Breece Hall. So I just want to finish this tight end discussion. So I'm going to read you just like the top 10 guys and like about where they're going, and you just say you're in on that or you're out. And obviously it's going to depend on draft structure and who else is there, but. Bowers in mid-round 2?
If necessary.
Yeah, these are all if necessary because you're willing to. Okay. So McBride, early round 3?
I haven't looked at him that much, but probably not.
Okay. I agree. Kittle, late 3, early 4?
No, he was going like 7 last year.
Yep. Yeah, no, true. So Sam Laporta in round 5.
I got burned on him last year. Would consider, depends. Probably my lean is no, but maybe.
Okay. So now we are at TJ Hawkinson in round 6, 7 turn.
Probably not.
Okay. 7, 8 turn Travis Kelce.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Mark Andrews. I'm doing the math. That's why I'm looking down there. Mark Andrews, round 8.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. A couple more here. Evan Ingram, late round 8.
No.
Okay. You already said Jonnu, 8, 9.
Sure.
You're in for sure. Yeah. And the last one of the top 10 is David Njoku, who goes in round 9, 10.
Yeah. I would do that.
Okay. Then after that is the rookies.
I think like, don't pay round 5 for Laporta or 2, 3 for McBride when the Andrews, Kelce's, and Jonnus, and even Hawkinson, who I thought about, are there a few rounds later. Like, it's just, why not get a receiver running back there? And then you could still get, what are the odds that like Laporta is better than Mark Andrews? Like 55-45. I mean, it's
I don't think it's actually good at all. I think it's the other way around.
Right. Okay. It could easily be, right? So why even, why take a chance?
Okay. Let's switch over to running backs. And I want to talk about the top of the running back board because, all right, we already talked about Bijan versus Saquon. I looked at the NFFC ADP over the last, and the reason we use NFFC is because this is where people are plunking down, $500 to do a draft, $300, $1,000, whatever it is. And it looks like over the last month that Bijan is the preferred player. He is squarely as the RB1, Saquon RB2, Gibbs 3, Jeanty 4. So let's start there. Ashton Jeanty goes in the 6th overall pick to the Raiders. Now you have to take him basically as a top 10 pick in fantasy football.
I think it's fine. I mean, rookie running backs are up to speed. They from what I know, he's like, one of those like elite college prospects. And I expect he's going to get, 300-ish carries. Right. How many, and he can catch a little, right? 40 catches, you think?
Yeah. And yeah, so he did I know your threshold is around 20 in college. He had above that threshold for sure.
So he may get 60. I mean, sometimes they just use a guy and he can do it and they keep doing it.
And then also, it's interesting is that the Raiders are now Pete Carroll coached, right? So this can be like his Marshawn Lynch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Lynch, you need like minimum of peak Marshawn Lynch to take him at 6 because Marshawn Lynch had like 1 or 2
RB6, by the way.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, it's going to be first round, right? He's going.
Yeah. Pick 10. He goes right now. Yeah. Somewhere around there. I mean, I've seen him go as high as.
But you're taking like Brian Thomas ahead of him.
Probably not. I'm probably taking Jeanty. Oh, look. So his in 2023, I'm looking at his college numbers, 43 catches.
Oh, okay. Then forget it. I mean,
and then in 24, half of that 23, but that's also because his running yardage doubled. So they didn't need to pass it to him.
Yeah. I mean, you could, you could take him at 1-1 and you couldn't really. I mean, it's like he's going to get the workload of everybody.
Mike Clay has him projected as the most touches in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. And so like start with that, and then start with the per touch. Like, is this guy good? Is he explosive? Yes, so.
Okay, so you're in on Jeanty as a first round pick. If you do 3 drafts and you're picking at 7, and I know you're going to take Neighbors, but if he's not there, maybe Jeanty is someone, because you like those high upside rookies.
Yeah. If you get a running back that that blows the top off of it, I mean,
that's how you win.
Yeah, in round 1, it's definitely how you create a base. You're not going to win from that. Obviously, if Neighbors catches 115 passes for 1,500 yards, I mean, that's going to be probably even better. But I'd probably take Neighbors over him. But yeah, I mean, at pick 10, I think that's a good pick.
Well, this leads perfectly into the next discussion, because there's the next 3 running backs off the board by ADP, 5, 6, and 7, are a mix of old and young, upside and floor. It's Derrick Henry, Achane, and McCaffrey.
Yeah, those are all 3 very going to be very polarizing picks, right? For different reasons.
Start with Henry.
I mean, I was out on him last year and he just smashed again. And yet, how old is he now? 31 or something like that?
Going on 32, yeah.
Right. So, but he didn't show any signs of problems or wear at all. He's still on a good team with a great quarterback.
Liss, this is his age 31 season. He won't be 32 until January.
Right. I mean, he's probably got another 1,500 yard, 15 touchdown season in him. Right?
They extended him. They gave him a 3-year extension.
I mean, so, okay, that's fine, right? So where's that? Early second, basically?
Yeah, I've seen him go pick 11. I've seen him go pick 14. So it's 1-2 turns.
It's a floor pick, though, because...
But it's a damn high floor. That's a damn
high floor, but, there's no pass-catching ceiling. There's no... he can't, he can't compete with the running back that's going to catch 50, 60 balls. He just can't, right? I mean, that's an extra 50... it's 50 points, say 50 receptions. Well, say he has 20, so 30 difference for another 300 yards, and then a couple extras. He's got to do. I guess he could do it if he gets 1,800 yards or something like that.
Right, but it's also, I mean, he could have 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, he could. So all right, so okay, and then Achane is just the Ferrari, right? It's he gets hurt a lot. The Dolphins are very fragile. The quarterback's fragile. The whole offense is fragile. But if things are running, this dude is Mr. Instant production. Can, catch 2 touchdowns, run for an 80-yard touchdown. It's so easy when they get it running. It's tough. You love a guy like that in round 4, explosive, crazy upside. But in early round 2, it's just you're really the old me would have said take him, but probably the new me would take Henry.
Yeah.
But then I think McCaffrey is kind of the hybrid of those two.
Right. Well, stick with Achane for a second, right? You know who he reminds me of a lot? Chris Johnson. You remember Chris Johnson?
Oh yeah, Chris Johnson was it, but Chris Johnson did it for whole seasons.
Right.
A
little more durable. Yeah.
And Chris Johnson was a total monster. He had 2,500 yards. I think he still has a record for yards from scrimmage.
I'd have to look that up. Yeah.
And so yeah, it was Chris Johnson, and then
McCaffrey.
And then McCaffrey's the hybrid, right? Because he's got Henry's age risk, right?
29.
But he's got a lot of mileage and more injury risk than Henry. But he's got all of Achane's upside, right? All of it. If Achane were to play 17 games completely healthy, or McCaffrey, you still got to take McCaffrey. As crazy as Achane's upside is in 17 healthy games, which is insane. If you knew everybody in the league would stay healthy, this is a miracle. There's no injuries this year. There's just no injuries at all this whole year. Okay. McCaffrey and Achane may go 1-2, right? Barkley 2. McCaffrey 1, Barkley 2, Achane 3, right? There's no injuries, right? You're not worried. They're all playing the full load, right? So,
you can't even think of it that way, because when you see Christian McCaffrey, first of all, anyone who took him at 101 last year, the terrible pick.
No, I took him before he got hurt. He got a calf injury and people were still taking him at 1-1.
Yeah. We've gone through that one. I agree. So I've seen McCaffrey go as high as pick 10, 11, and then obviously he falls to second round. It's an easy pick in the second round. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Right. If you got Brian Thomas, you come back with McCaffrey. That easy. Is just a great start, right?
Right. Great start. Great start.
That's a great start though, because you got floor and ceiling, and McCaffrey's 14 game floor is high. It's really high, right?
Yeah.
If he plays now, you don't want it to be the playoffs where he's gone, but if he misses, from weeks 3 to 7, and there's a bye in there or something, and he plays the rest of the games, like you're good. You're good at the first round with that. Like he might, remember, like Debo's gone. Ayuk's coming back from an injury, right? Like they're like, he may catch like easily 80, 90 balls again. I mean, it's like McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm going to have some McCaffrey. You love getting him in like the early second. I mean, you had to take the 1-1 or 1-2 years past. This is like, you get him off a rest year when he's been hurt, but he's healthy now. I think this is the perfect.
Right. If you take pick 10 in the NFFC, you have a chance to, let's say overall ADP. Let me just look at the overall right now. If you had a draft today, right now, pick 15 is his ADP. And that's like a true 15. That's not like, his high low is 8 and 33, which is ridiculous. But like, this is accurate. I've seen him go
second round 15. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And he's the Jacob deGrom of football, right? Like,
that's a good analogy.
If he's good, like he is this year, like it's like a home run pick. And you just don't know.
Here's a cross positional either or: Nico Collins or McCaffrey. Okay, it's easy, right? And Nico's going ahead of him, but I agree with you. How about this one? McCaffrey or Drake London cross positional?
Oh, I like Drake London. Drake London was just like, he was the guy in that, like Nakua got hurt and all those guys that second round were kind of bust, but London was like a rock. He got hurt for like a game or two, but I still go McCaffrey probably, especially if I have a receiver in the first round. I'll take McCaffrey. If I have a running back in the first round, I might go London though.
Yeah, and I'm bullish on London too, and everyone is. I mean, goes pick 6.
Where's Marvin Harrison going now? Late second?
So this is a great hold that, because that's literally, I mean, it's like almost like you're reading my list right here. You hadn't looked at it. So, but just with the London thing is, I think Penix is an elevator of talent. We saw it in college, so it could be a situation where, I like that. So you want to talk? You have something else to say? Because I'm going to bring up Marv here.
No, I was going to make a Penix joke, but keep going.
That's so last year, man. Last year. So my downstairs. You know what? I'm going to pause real quick here, Liss.
Yeah.
Thank God for pause on StreamYard. That's a good feature that they added. Marvin Harrison, beginning of the third round. Let me give you the NFFC ADP, because that one's going to go up, right? But the problem is Trey McBride. So him and McBride go back to back more or less. They're early third. I've been taking them at 301 yesterday in a draft I did. The official ADP here from Marv is 35. So what is that? 303?
35. No, it's 2. No, it's 3. Wait. 35.
No, that's the end of the
3.
Third.
Yeah, 311, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess maybe I'm the one. Yeah, because his 20 in a couple drafts, but that's not happening either. Yeah, he's going. Let me just look at this.
Late third.
So
late
third.
That's an easy pick in the
that's
third.
easy. But I
think
it
was so frustrating last year though. They would just not throw him the ball.
Yeah, listen.
And then they get him a couple touchdowns, but it was tough having him.
Yeah, so 33, man. 33 according to the last month of ADP data, and McBride goes 25. So I disagree with that. Okay, here's the players that go ahead of Marv that you just say Marv or the player.
Right.
T. Higgins.
Harrison.
Right. Chase Brown, structure related.
I haven't looked at Chase Brown's numbers. I know he was good at the end of last year, but
probably league winner. League winner. Yeah.
Probably in the playoffs. I'll still say Harrison.
Okay, Harrison or Garrett Wilson. That's an interesting one.
I like both.
Can't pick both.
Yeah, I know. I don't like either quarterback basically for these guys. I'll say Garrett Wilson.
Okay, so then JSN.
I like JSN, but new quarterback. I'll say, man, it was nice getting him in like round 7 last year. This is a whole different thing. I'll say Garrett Wilson.
Well, it was JSN or Marvin Harrison.
Well, I'm okay. I'll go JSN maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so then
I don't trust Kyler Murray. Like Kyler Murray, just like he's like so little and he's always like flitting about haphazardly, and like you're like, dude, I need you to just stay in the pocket, let the guy run his route, and lay it out for him, and you're flitting about and you're inconsistent. You throw this nice rainbow ball, but there's none of this like crisp, like deep intermediate zipped pass that you get from Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, all those guys that can zip that like consistent, like, you fake deep, you cut across and boom, the ball's there. And it's even a slant where they can take it, to the house. I just don't see that in Arizona. It's so like, I feel like, where's Marvin Harrison? Why aren't they targeting him? And like, there was really you can't say, well, he's a rookie. And then Michael Wilson's there. He's pretty good, right? Like he got some targets. And then there's McBride. So,
by the way, McBride, 111 receptions last year. Do you know how many touchdowns he caught?
One.
Yeah.
I he had one in the end,
one rushing touchdown and 2 receiving.
Yeah. I mean, that's fluky, but I think Murray is a bit of a, and so Fields, like what's he going to be like for Garrett Wilson? What's
JSN
Sam Darnold going to be like for JSN? I mean, Darnold obviously could support good receivers in Minnesota. So
the reason list that Marvin Harrison is pushed down to 33 is because in the NFFC ADP, people are pushing up those elite quarterbacks there, which I don't think you or I would do. My Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, and Lamar, would you take them in the early mid-third?
No, I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're on the clock at 303,
I'll end up taking Harrison, JSN, or Wilson, right? And I'm happy with that, right?
Right.
Because it's just so much more. I've talked about this, why this is probably an error on my part, where like you think, oh, great, I still got, in round
Jared
12,
Goff, Dak.
I got Baker Mayfield late, I'm fine, or Goff or Dak, any of them. And you're like, see, so I'm solid at every position. And this other guy, he took Josh Allen around 3, so he's got this hole at third receiver. And then Josh Allen rushes for 2 touchdowns, throws for 2 and for 300 yards, and he has 50 rushing yards. And you're like, oh, wait a second. My quarterback got me 22 and his got him 42. And so it doesn't matter that he was missing, that he got 7 from his third receiver. Right. And you forget that because you like look at it as like, oh, my slots are all covered. I'm good in this draft. I feel good. But that doesn't mean anything once we start, actually having the games.
Right. Like he got Stephon Diggs, who nobody likes as his wide receiver 3. Diggs gives you 14 points anyway. Your wide receiver 1 got 16.
Right. I mean, do you rather fight the battle of who do I pick up for that wide receiver 3 and who do I start each week, or just be like, yeah, but my quarterback's just, just a par. I'm never going to, I'm never going to get something better than that. Or do you want to be like, I've got a massive advantage at QB and I'll mess around on the waiver wire and the lineups, and it, it's can go either way,
Yeah. You were talking Garrett Wilson a minute ago, so I'm just curious. Justin Fields, he's like priced at like quarterback 13. He was like quarterback 19 before the Jets signed him. I have him as like QB 6. Obviously, you don't even have to take him there, but do you see the fantasy upside for Fields? I mean,
of course,
he
ran for 1,000 yards one year. You know that, right? He had 1,000 yards on the Bears a couple years ago.
I forgot, but yes.
He's still in his prime. He's still in his prime. I double checked that. Maybe I'm just imagining that. I think he ran for 1,000 yards one year.
And Aaron Glenn, by the way, the new head coach of the Jets, said that when he was the D coordinator of Detroit, the thing that kept him up at night was Fields rushing around, and that's why they proactively signed him. So you got to think they're going to do, this crazy offense where Fields is running, Breece Hall is running. They know they just have to, they're going to pass to Garrett Wilson a lot. By the way, do you know who the Jets' number 2 receiver is on the depth chart?
No, I haven't looked at it. Who is it?
Like I'm saying,
no, I mean, I don't know. I have
Josh
no
Reynolds.
Oh, right. I did read that recently that Reynolds is going to serve as the number 2.
Yeah.
He's a solid 4 though, right? He's a good 4.
Yeah. I mean,
check out Fields if he rushed for 1,000 yards.
Okay. So Fields you're saying this was a Bears team
in the season. Yeah.
Okay.
Did he rush for 1,000 yards one year?
Yeah. I'm just looking right here as we, this is career.
Look at year by year.
Yeah,
I feel like there was a year. I can look this up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just clicking on the see all. Okay. So the year by year, the rushing stats. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Yes, you're right. 1143.
He rushed for 1143
in 2022.
As a quarterback. That's got to be. I mean, Lamar maybe has a little more. I think that's more than Vic had at his peak. 1143 and 8 touchdowns that year, and now he's 26 years old. Now, of course, he's a huge injury risk because he takes hits. He's not like one of those.
I don't remember him missing games, though.
I don't know how many games he was benched for. He's never played a full season.
Right, but
So,
I'm saying it's like he doesn't strike me as someone that just takes hits. Like he runs away from people.
I think he takes some big hits.
Right. I mean, anyone that is a running quarterback is going to take hits, but
I think he also takes sacks too. I think he's gets drilled a lot. Like Lamar is very crafty in how he kind of slithers through, and he's like, he's good at it. I don't think Fields is like that. He's more like
I don't remember the exact. Him and Garrett Wilson played together in Ohio State too, so there is some little bit of.
I think Garrett Wilson. So there's this guys that you kind of feel like this guy's an incredible talent, and he just needs to. Devontae Adams came in with Rodgers. That was bad. It was like okay,
Terry McLaurin.
They had the worst. The nut low with QBs before that with QB1, and. So he just never really and Justin Fields is obviously not, it's not like getting Matthew Stafford there or something, but I think he'll probably get 140, 150 targets even in a run first offense.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So I'm saying Fields priced at QB 13. He's worth if you were talking about that scenario, this is why I'm bringing it up. If you're in round 3 and Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen, what all those guys are there and you want to take a receiver, and you could take Justin Fields.
Garrett Wilson as my receiver, and then I get Fields.
Justin Fields in round 8, which is pushing him up a round or two.
Right. Yeah. And I get Breece Hall in the 2-3 turn as my running back.
Stack action.
If you can get a jet stack, that's always the winning formula, Alan. If you can get and then I'm going to bet big, for them to win the Super Bowl, like huge amounts of money on that. But anyway, I hope people know I'm joking, right? You never bet on the Jets. You never bet on the Jets. Real man bets on the Jets, but a rational man does not. Yeah, no, I like Fields. I mean, Fields has QB, top 5 QB upside. I mean, all these guys.
Anytime he starts, yeah.
Any, extreme running QB. I'm not talking about Trevor Lawrence is mobile or Daniel Jones is mobile. I'm talking about like the top 3 or 4 QBs in running have extreme upside. And then you have like a real receiver like Wilson. It's a good situation. But yeah, there's so many QBs you could get. I mean, Lawrence we talked about is another one you could target late.
Well, I want to talk about QBs I'm not drafting with our last topic here, okay? Because those are the guys I think we agree. The rushing upside there, the price is good. Like you're either going to go round 3 Lamar, Josh Allen, or Daniels. Burrow is pushed up in the NFFC, but that's because of like the
6-point passing touchdowns too.
Well, it's also because like people are trying to get the T. Higgins Jamar stack. So I understand it. I did it in the draft the other day. And then Jalen Hurts is falling to like, round 4, round 5. But Patrick Mahomes, this is the one where someone takes him, I'm like so happy, right? Like he is going as the QB6, round 6, round 7, whatever it is. And I was like, oh, I got Mahomes in round 7, but he has just literally not been good for fantasy football.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Tyreek Hill leaves. And it's mostly kind of been since that, right? And Tyreek Hill is like a cheat code, peak Tyreek Hill for your quarterback, right? It's like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. You put one of those guys with your QB, and he just goes, through the moon. And think about this. Tom Brady, for his first half of his career, he won 2 Super Bowls, and his receivers were like Deion Branch and these kind of guys. Mm-hmm. And he would get like 26 touchdowns in a year, right? This is Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. He would have like 26 touchdowns, didn't throw a lot of picks, really good game manager. Then they signed Randy Moss. They trade for Randy Moss. And Randy Moss gets 23 touchdowns the first year, and Brady gets 50, when that was like a record.
Good memory there.
Right. And that's the first year. And then all of a sudden, they've got and then Gronk gets drafted. Welker comes in. They change everything around. Okay. Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, right? And Kelsey. But Kelsey's now old. But he had peak Kelsey and peak Hill. Tyreek Hill, to me, is a top 5 all-time receiver at his peak. He doesn't have the sustain. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But he didn't have the sustained career that's, Jerry Rice had or even Moss. But Tyreek Hill is a guy that was just the fastest guy, one of the fastest guys in the history of the league, and a beast, right? And he had that guy. And so, that transforms. But you take him away, and now he's Brady. Mahomes is just game manager Brady. They've got a good defense. They like to run the ball. They're well coached. If Rashee Rice, is healthy, if Xavier Worthy year 2 becomes the guy that, they're hoping, maybe Mahomes, jumps back up to
Hollywood Brown.
And Hollywood Brown, right? So he may finally, be back. But I think people are just like, oh, this is just a weird anomaly. But you're like, dude, you lost a top 5 all-time receiver that you grew up with when you came into the league. And of course it's going to have an impact, and they're going to play, very differently without Tyreek Hill. So maybe it comes back.
I like this analogy better than another one that I heard. So the analogy I heard from Mahomes, someone had said that he was more like Troy Aikman, which, Hall of Famer in real life, but just not someone you wanted in fantasy. But I like the Brady thing because it accounts for the all-time receiver being plucked in and out of the offense.
Yeah, and Brady was still, Mahomes will still get you 25 touchdowns and whatever, but it's not like he's Troy Aikman, who was just like absolutely unstartable. But and it's a different era too, right? It's the same era we're talking about. Yeah.
All right. What do you want people to do that love listening to you on the podcast? How can they sign up to see more?
Real Man Sports. I'll be honest, this is going to run on Real Man Sports, but I've been a bit, not doing a lot. I think, in July, I'm going to really start ramping up, the football stuff. But realmansports.com and my non-football stuff, chrisliss.com. For some reason, every so often, like everybody's emailing me, oh man, I listened to that, or I read your piece, or I have this, and I'm getting all this feedback, and it's great. It's like people I knew from like childhood, like friends of mine have found it, and they're like giving me feedback. So that's, what I've been doing most of, but realmansports.com, it's going to get much more stuff on it once football starts in earnest.
Well, that's what social media is. It stuff has the ability to go viral. So all of a sudden, someone that you knew from high school hears you, agrees with you, or finds you interesting, and then shares it with 7 other people that knew of you, and then it keeps getting spread and spread and spread. I mean, that's social media. What the hell's going on in the background there, Liss?
Oh, they're coming for me. Sorry, guys. This is it. I've been running from the law as long as I could, but my time's up.
Point is that this is, I've told you a million times, you're not doing enough on social media, right? And this is, imagine now you can 7x that by, and it's, listen, you have the time. I just don't know if you have the want to, but you do it on YouTube. You do it on, I know you hate TikTok, but you do it on Instagram. You do it on, even Facebook now is wide open, right? Because nobody's posting there. But meanwhile, it's fertile ground and the algorithms are so good. You don't go on Facebook, but on your Facebook scroll, it's not just like, hey, this girl that I went to high school with, wedding pictures from 20 years ago. It's like, no, I'm getting fed algorithmically for you stuff. So I think that if you want your thing to grow, we've had this discussion a gazillion times. Yeah. More platforms.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I just feel like, to what end? Like, who cares, right? Like, I know, like, people.
It's fun. You like the feedback.
I like. But that feedback, all those people, it was like they all came to it organically in different ways.
Right.
And they're like, it's like, you got to go find the alpha, I'm not going to go and like shill it for you. You got to go find it. Right. But I mean, look, right. You got to go find it. If you want it, you can have it, but you got to find it. And
a little promotion doesn't hurt. And by the way, once you get into the promotion stuff, you'll find it like enjoyable.
It's like a game. It's like a good game that you're playing. It's like
a fun game you're like, because you start, figuring out these platforms. I look back at some of the stuff I posted on like Instagram and TikTok. It was just the wrong type of content. I was posting it the wrong way, horizontally, when it should have been vertically. I was posting like podcasts, like non sequitur stuff. Now it's like, you just figure it out. I get, maybe, you know what it is? Maybe I'm projecting onto you what my interests are.
Yeah, no, I don't really. I mean, look, it's always nice to hear that, people are watching this, or this video got a lot of views and all that stuff. I mean, I'm a human. I have dopamine. Oh, cool, right? But when you really think about it, the stuff that you want to be doing, which is signal, like truth signal, is actually not going to do that well among large groups of people, because they want to be assuaged. They want comfort. They want priors reaffirmed, right? That's what most people want. They want to lose weight with these 3 steps, get laid, make money, all these things, right? And if you advertise that, or like kind of subtly be like, well, I'm going to give you the secrets to fantasy football this year, and there's 3 players that you really got to get in the middle rounds, and this is going to make or break. People are like, okay, who are they? I want to know, right? But of course, that's bullshit. Nobody knows, right? We don't know. I mean, the season is right. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. But everybody's looking for that all the time, right? So if you can sort of do that, you're going to get a lot of views, right? But if you're going to tell them the truth, which is like, I don't know shit. I don't know. I really don't know. I trust my instincts. I take feedback from the real world. I try to do it better. I can be stubborn. I can make all sorts of epistemic errors that I do every single year. The same fucking error over and over again I may make. Like, I did it again. I swung for the fence on this old injured guy and I shouldn't have done it. But so if I tell you the truth, you're going to be like, well, why would I go to this guy? He's not like, oh, I don't have, there's other guys. There's all those like quant guys who've got the super fancy. One of them, I listened to one podcast. These guys seem like nice guys, are good. They're like, Barkley, I'm fading him this year.
480 touches.
Yeah, he should be in the 5th round. Barkley, this is last year, right?
Yeah.
And I liked Barkley, but I was like, maybe
I got you.
Right. But whatever. That's my fault. My fault for listening to those nutless monkeys. They don't know shit. They don't know anything. Okay. And so the whole thing is like, people are going to sell you on all these different angles. Like I've got the quant angle and I've crunched the numbers, and for best ball, you need percentages like this. And we've looked at this.
What should we title this podcast then? 5 secrets to winning your fantasy football league?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The absolute truth about fantasy football.
Right. That's it right there. Because I have to post it on the RotoWire YouTube page.
The absolute truth about fantasy football is nobody knows shit. Right. And so I didn't want to market because like, you don't want what I have for you. Right. All I have for you is my observations and thoughts. Now, if you are willing to be like, oh, I don't know, he doesn't know, but let's just have this conversation about what could happen, historical precedent, why that's totally worthless most of the time, but maybe there's something interesting. Fine, come to my site, Real Man Sports. I write about what I think is interesting, but you want 5 tips to win your league? Sorry, I'll win some of my leagues. I don't win all of them. I'm sure, like everybody else, and and it's like you got to execute. You got to get a little lucky with injuries and stuff, but that's just the truth.
Yeah. It's Chris Liss. You still have your fastball, by the way, man. You're as good as ever. People love you. I love you. You know that. And I think that, as we're laughing as you're saying this, but it really is true, right? Like I'm a little bit forced into the sensational YouTube title game because, I'm being paid money by a company to.
You got a gun to your head. You got a gun to your head. Produce the numbers, or boom, you're done, right?
Pretty much.
You got to do it. And look, there's a skill in that, and you're creating value for your company that's paying you, and that's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a job, right? I don't want a job, but there's nothing wrong with having a job, and I respect it. I'm just saying that, like, if you want the alpha, you got to come find it. And you're going to not only have to come find it, but you're going to have to find why it's the alpha. It's the real alpha, but you got to figure it out because it's not going to be what you want. What you want is because you're a lazy sack of shit that just wants to be told what to do. So you don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to take risks. You don't have to have the anxiety of uncertainty before the games start, which everybody has who's a serious fantasy football player, unless those like total, like, oh, I've got 100 shares of this and 50 shares of that. And no matter what happens, I'm all hedged out. I'm like some weird, like arb trader that like is just got like, if you want to play fantasy football like that, that's fine. Again, no judgment. That's perfectly fine way to do it. If you're making money doing it, great. But if you're like me and you have, 4 teams and you want to win an overall in the NFFC, which is what my goal is, you're going to have uncertainty. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to be horrible. You're going to be in the fantasy overall playoffs and have a team that's contending. And you didn't listen to Allen and you started Trevor Lawrence over Danny Dimes and they pulled Lawrence in the first half and I would have taken 7th. I would have got like $7,000 extra. I won the league for $7,000, but I would get another $7,000 and I should have listened to you, but I didn't have the stones to do it. So luckily I took your Jamar Chase, take him number 1 overall, literally, even though you were just joking, but I took it literally last year. And I did take him. Well, I took him 3rd and 5th and 7th. I had him in 3 leagues.
I wasn't joking, by the way. I took him number 1 overall.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So, but it was, to me, it was like kind of obvious. So
yeah.
Yep. All right. If you want to get behind RotoWire's paywall, we're going to give you 15% off also for your listeners on your podcast feed and for anyone else. So I don't want to make it like they're special. RotoWire.com.
Dude, you should get 20% off if you're one of my listeners.
All right. But you got to put in code YouTube15. That's code YouTube15 at checkout. 15% off any RotoWire subscription. There's a couple different ones with tools now. They're, and July 1st, they're rebranding. I don't know if you knew about this, but there's going to be some cool updates and refreshing of the brand. So we're looking forward to that. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on Real Man Sports RotoWire collaboration podcast.